Journal of Christopher Columbus, Friday, November 2nd, 1492. The admiral decided upon sending 2 Spaniards, one named Rodrigo de Jerez, who lived in Ayamonte, and the other, Luis de Torres, who had served in the household of the Adelanto of Murcia, and had been a Jew, knowing Hebrew, Jabli, and even some Arabic. With these men he sent 2 Indians, one from among those he had brought from Guanahani, and another a native of the houses by the riverside. He gave them strings of beads with which to buy food if they should be in need, and ordered them to return in 6 days. He gave them specimens of spices to see if any were to be found. Their instructions were to ask for the king of that land, and they were told to say on the part of the sovereigns of Castile how they had sent the admiral with letters and a present to inquire after his health and establish friendship, favoring him in what he might desire from them. They were to collect information respecting certain provinces, ports, and rivers of which the admiral had notice, and to ascertain their distances from where he was. This night the admiral took an altitude with a quadrant, and found that the distance from the equinoctial line was 42 degrees. He says that, by his reckoning, he finds that he has gone over 1,142 leagues from the island of Hierro. He still believes that he has reached the mainland. Saturday, November 3rd. In the morning, the admiral got into the boat, and, as the river is like a great lake at the mouth, forming a very excellent port, very deep and clear of rocks, with a good beach for careening ships, and plenty of fuel, he explored it until he came to fresh water at a distance of 2 leagues from the mouth. He ascended a small mountain to obtain a view of the surrounding country, but could see nothing owing to the dense foliage of the trees, which were very fresh and odoriferous, so that he felt no doubt that there were aromatic herbs among them. He said that all he saw was so beautiful that his eyes could never tire of gazing upon such loveliness, nor his ears of listening to the songs of the birds. That day many canoes came to the ships, to barter with cotton threads and with the nets in which they sleep, called hamakas. Sunday, November 4th. At sunrise the admiral again went away in the boat, and landed to hunt the birds he had seen the day before. After a time, Martin Alonso Pinzon came to him with 2 pieces of cinnamon, and said that a Portuguese, who was one of his crew, had seen an Indian carrying 2 very large bundles of it, but he had not bartered for it, because of the penalty imposed by the admiral on anyone who bartered. He further said that this Indian carried some brown things like nutmegs. The master of the Pinta said that he had found the cinnamon trees. The admiral went to the place and found that they were not cinnamon trees. The admiral showed the Indians some specimens of cinnamon and pepper he had brought from Castile, and they knew it, and said by signs that there was plenty in the vicinity, pointing to the southeast. He showed them gold and pearls, on which certain old men said that there was an infinite quantity in a place called Bohio, and that the people wore it on their necks, ears, arms, and legs, as well as pearls. He further understood them to say that there were great ships and much merchandise, all to the southeast. He understood that, far away, there were men with 1 eye, and others with dogs' noses who were cannibals, and that when they captured an enemy, they beheaded him and drank his blood, and cut off his private parts. The admiral then determined to return to the ship and wait for the return of the 2 men he had sent, intending to depart and seek for those lands, if his envoys brought some good news touching what he desired. The admiral further says, "These people are very gentle and timid. They go naked, as I have said, without arms and without law. The country is very fertile. The people have plenty of maims, which are like carrots and have the flavor of chestnuts, and they have paxones and beans of kinds very different from ours. They also have much cotton, which they do not sow, as it is wild in the mountains, and I believe they collect it throughout the year, because I saw pods empty, others full, and flowers all on one tree. There are 1,000 other kinds of fruits, which it is impossible for me to write about, and all must be profitable." All this the admiral says. Monday, November 5th. This morning the admiral ordered the ship to be careened, afterwards the other vessels, but not all at the same time. 2 were always to beat the anchorage, as a precaution, although he says that these people were very safe, and that without fear all the vessels might have been careened at the same time. Things being in this state, the master of the Nina came to claim a reward from the admiral because he had found a mastic, but he did not bring the specimen as he had dropped it. The admiral promised him a reward and sent Rodrigo Sanchez and Master Diego to the trees. They collected some, which was kept to present to the sovereigns, as well as the tree. The admiral says that he knew it was mastic, though it ought to be gathered at the proper season. There is enough in that district for a yield of 1,000 quintales every year. The admiral also found here a great deal of the plant called aloe. He further says that the Puerto de Mares is the best in the world, with the finest climate and the most gentle people. As it has a high rocky cape, a fortress might be built so that, in the event of the place becoming rich and important, the merchants would be safe from any other nations. He adds, "The Lord, in whose hands are all victories, will ordain all things for his service." An Indian said by signs that the mastic was good for pains in the stomach.